We are getting really close to the release of EA's game Anthem. Coming from a huge Destiny background such as myself, I had a lot of hope for this title. As time got closer to release and the more info we got, it started to be more and more apparent that this game may be clearly not be meant for me. Now I know what you're thinking. Addict, you're just a fanboy for Destiny to a point. I would agree with you. I am definitely a huge fan of Destiny. However, can't we agree that a Destiny fanboy might know one or two things when it comes to these type of games? Just because I enjoy a similar type of game in this genre, does that mean I should be censored? In no way, shape, or form have I ever compared these games off the merits of them individually. I've always compared them off the foundation that they're built off of, that loot shooter, that grinding for that next thing. And that's why I really want to make this video, is because I do think to a point you can compare these games. And I want to, give you my insight of why I might not be buying Destiny just from the journey and the way that Destiny 2 was made. And, there's a lot of games such as The Division that have tried this similar type of game with these loot shooter, the foundation built on this, and they didn't do certain things that Destiny did, and they ended up failing because of it. And I see a lot of that in Anthem, and I want to go over, particularly two aspects that really hurt games like The Division to being able to make a successful, popular loot shooter. So let's go ahead and get into the video. One of the reasons that I'm not feeling Anthem as much as I like Destiny is the absence of multiplayer in Anthem, that PvP aspect. The reason that I'm not feeling that is these types of games, when the PvE portion of the main game and the DLC runs out, it is always the PvP that keeps the players invested. Even through those dry times when there's nothing, absolutely nothing coming out, people always go back for that PvP. Now, we've already disclosed that I'm definitely a Destiny fan. For those of you that know me well and know the game Destiny, you know that there's Iron Banner. And for those of you that don't know what Iron Banner is, it's a PvP event that normally happens monthly. And when this event happens, your light level matters. And it's compared to enemy levels. For those of you that don't know anything about Destiny whatsoever, Destiny 2 has overall levels. So that's the level generally what you are, like the level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then they actually have a light level that has a lot more significant than that overall level. The level is to engage what part of the story you are. That's normally where your overall level is. And the light level is mainly used to give you an idea if you can accomplish that hard difficulty or, the hardest activities in the game. So when you do regular PvP in Destiny, it's taking your overall level. So any kind of regular PvP that's not any kind of in-game content, it just takes that overall level and it scales everyone to the same level. That way, when it comes to regular PvP in Destiny 2, everyone is completely on the same battlefield. Everyone's on equal ground. Now, Iron Banner is a little bit different. Now, when it comes to Iron Banner, this monthly event, everyone's light level is significant. So if someone has a huge light level advantage on you, it's going to take probably 3 or 4 more shots to kill that individual. So that gives a lot of reason to level up that light level to go into this PvP mode and compete for any kind of rewards that might be going on at that time. And when I mean rewards, Iron Banner actually has specific drops just for Iron Banner, and they always change it every season to give you a different appearance, give you different roles, different shotguns. Some might have different presets where they shoot different. So that's one big thing that everyone loves Iron Banner with, because you can get those exclusive Iron Banner equipment. Now, to give you a good aspect of what I mean by Anthem might suffer a little bit without PvP, look how Ubisoft launched the original Division with no PvP at all. And now with the sequel, they're launching it with PvP, and they're launching it with the fan favorite Dark Zone. Ubisoft learned with the Division 2 they needed a PvP mode at the launch, or where they wouldn't dedicate people to make one in the first place. That's not cheap. So they wouldn't dedicate those kind of funds if they didn't need it. And they know they need it because of the backlash they got for the Division. Now, I'm not going to say there's no way that Anthem could survive without a PvP. That can easily pump out so much PvE content because they don't have to worry and focus on a multiplayer aspect at all, because they actually do have to dedicate an entire team to making sure PvP is balanced with PvE. What makes this hard is the hardcore player plays way more than a dev can possibly anticipate. They will take vacation off work and play this game for hours at a time, completing content that, the devs expected to take months to do so. Without a PvP to go to afterwards, what do they do after that? Do they even continue playing the game, or do they stop playing the game and go somewhere else and play something else? And then, they might come back to play when the DLC drops, or, some free content, or they might not actually come back at all. That is a risk that, these devs have to take when they don't imply a PvP back into the game. That's why you see a lot of these games trying to imply any kind of PvP aspect whatsoever to keep that constant engagement into their game. One of the biggest reasons I'm probably going to skip out on Anthem is because of the choice of in-game content that they've went with Anthem. For those of you that don't know what in-game content is, it's when you finish the story and you still have to grind to that in-game level activities to get higher levels and equipment to do the hardest content in the game. In Destiny 2, there's a few different types of in-game content you can choose from. Like I was mentioning earlier, Iron Banner's an in-game content. Trials of the Nine, which is pretty much just a 4v4 search and destroy where you can revive your allies. The in-game content I really want to focus on is raids. There are events that you take about 5 of your friends and you go on a series of obstacles and fight bosses, sometimes with those obstacles to fight the bosses themselves. There's jump puzzles in here, epic boss fights, and Bungie has you actually race to finish the raid first. And whoever wins it first, gets some nice jackets, they get put on a plaque, they get put on the website, they get a lot of notoriety when it comes to finishing the raid first. And I think that's a really cool little thing and a little milestone that Bungie puts in place to make it more like an event and not just dropping some content for Destiny. Sadly for me, BioWare has took a completely different approach to making Anthem's endgame. They actually went the direction that Diablo does with the Torment difficulties, where once you get to that point, you can actually do the in-game content. You just make everything harder, make everything way more difficult, and get the best loot in the game that way. Instead of it being called Torment, it's actually called Grandmaster, and there's 3 different Grandmasters. So there's Grandmaster 1, 2, and 3. One of the hardest activities in this game is called Strongholds. So when you are able to do these in-game activities, you're able to do them eventually on Grandmaster mode. And it's just stronger enemies. They take more damage. To be honest with you guys, I hate difficulty settings like this. I'd rather have the AI act completely different depending on what encounter you are, or depending on what Grandmaster level you're currently on. I can't stress enough that this does not make it harder. Making the enemies take more damage and making them deal more damage and, pretty much making bullet sponges never makes a difficulty harder. And then one thing else I can't stress is this doesn't mean that this in-game activity is going to be horrible at all. People love this stuff. That's why Diablo is so popular. They can easily get away with this, but maybe, this type of in-game content is just not for me. I feel like one of the reasons that it bothers me so much is I am convinced, 110% convinced that BioWare could make anything that rivals anything remotely that Bungie could ever put out. From what they've done in the past, from the Mass Effects to the Dragon Ages, I know that they got the talent to do this. And one of the cool things, they could actually put that Grandmaster level difficulty into the raid itself once they developed it. It would give the raid way more replayability, and to be honest, there's not a whole lot of difficulty spikes that you can do in the raid on Destiny. For the most part, it's just, whatever it starts on, and then you got the prestige one later. Sometimes they add some, different things you can do to get different drops, but for the most part, it's only too difficult. Raids might not be for everyone, but to me, they're definitely an essential, and it kind of is a deal breaker in some point. And I feel like over there at Ubisoft, they've learned from this, because in the entire lifespan of the Division, the entire first Division, all I'm saying is they never had one raid. And it's not a coincidence that they put a raid. They actually said they're going to put multiple raids in the Division because they got a lot of criticism for not having a raid. So they listened to the player feedback from the Division 1. All those cries that they wanted some kind of raid-like activity from Destiny in the Division. They're even doing something similar to what Bungie does with the raids. They're doing that world's first, that that making it an event. Everyone's watching Twitch because it is kind of an event. I remember back when Forsaken came out and the first raid came out, I was really on Twitch watching people do that last boss. And keep in mind, this is coming from a person that literally almost never watches Twitch, not even a little bit. but I was watching that raid on Twitch. I can tell you that right now. I actually watched it for a few hours. I actually saw the very first team beat the Forsaken raid live. We kind of celebrated with them. There was a few of us in the party. We were probably just as hyped as they were. And that's what, Anthem could have had. They could have had that community outreach, that event that makes it way better than just, a content drop. Anthem has picked up a lot of loyal fans, and it's not even out yet. I want more people that did not really enjoy the way Bungie did Destiny and are willing to give another game a chance to get that experience that I got with Destiny, but they can have with Anthem. I enjoyed Destiny, and it's some of the best gaming experiences I ever had, and there's just some people that's never going to try Destiny like that. But if Anthem is the way that they can have that experience, more power to them. I hope them the best. So there you have it. Those are the main reasons that I'm really not knowing if I'm going to pick this game up day one. I might pick it up later on down the road if it comes into like EA Access or something like that. But as of right now, it's not a day one purchase. I don't even know if I'm going to buy it at all. But what did you guys think? What kind of direction would you have preferred them to go? Are you okay with the Diablo effect? Or would you have preferred more of, traditional Destiny raid? Tell me in the comment section below. Go ahead and share my video out to anyone. Appreciate my content to get to as many people as possible. If you enjoyed this video at all, definitely give it the like the video. I definitely appreciate all the support I've been getting here lately. This is Gaming Addict, and I'm out of here. Peace.